I don't know about you, but at the beginning of a new year, I like to dream and I like to add things to my bucket list. And so today I want to help you by giving you 5 bucket list adventures that you should have in the national parks this year. My name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and you will find me in the national parks all year long. It's something I never get sick of. I love visiting the parks. And so there are some really big, more exciting adventures that I think a lot of times we don't talk about. And that's what I want to talk to you about today is I want to give you 5 really cool adventures that you can have in the national parks that you might not know about so that you can add these to your bucket list for this year. Number 1, for the month of February, head to Big Bend National Park in Texas, and then cross the border into Mexico for a bigger adventure. Looking at the map here, Big Bend National Park is all the way down here at the bottom of Texas along the Rio Grande River. And what a lot of people don't realize, this is Mexico right here, even though the map doesn't show it. And there is an actual official border crossing in Big Bend National Park, so you can actually cross the Rio Grande River and head into Mexico for the day. First of all, Big Bend National Park is perfect in February. I love visiting this park in February. The temperatures are really nice. You can get out, you can hike, you can explore, you can do all the really cool things that are there to do in Big Bend. So definitely plan in time for that. But for one of the days that you're at Big Bend National Park, bring your passport, head down to the Rio Grande Village area of Big Bend, and from there you'll find the Boquillas Crossing, which is a border crossing station where so you'll check in with border control on the US side, and then you'll head over into Mexico. And you'll pay the Mexican locals to ferry you across the Rio Grande River in a little boat. When you get to the other side of the Rio Grande River, when you get into Mexico, then you can also pay to ride a horse or a burro into the small town of Boquillas. It's a super cool experience, and a lot of people don't realize that this is even an option in a national park. And so that's why I think you should add crossing the river and heading up into Boquillas, Mexico to your Big Bend National Park trip. Now, when you get to Boquillas, you will need to check in with the Mexican border agent that's right there. Show him your passport, and then he'll approve you to go on into Boquillas. We really enjoy buying the local handicrafts that people make there. You can get some really cool things. I have a little wire sculpture, I guess, of a roadrunner that I got from Boquillas. There's a lot of textiles and handicrafts and things like that. And then, of course, you want to stay and try some delicious Mexican food. There are a couple of restaurants in this tiny town that cater to people who are coming over for the day. And so you can eat some delicious food and just spend a little bit of time in town before you then just head back, go back down the hill on your burro, cross the river again into Texas, and check in with the U.S. Passport Control Center there. Cool, right? Such a fun experience in a national park to add to your bucket list this year. Okay, bucket list item number 2. In the month of April or thereabouts, sometime in the spring, head to Utah to Canyonlands National Park and Jeep or bike the White Rim Road. Okay, so looking at the map again, we are heading to southern Utah. It's southeastern Utah, actually. And there's 2 parks right here. We've got Arches up here, but the one we want for this trip is Canyonlands National Park. Canyonlands National Park is the biggest national park in Utah. There is so much to explore. You'll never run out of things to do, and there are a lot of really big adventures in this national park. But if you've never gone to the park before, you just want a really cool adventure as, maybe a first-time visitor, you don't want to get into the really big, high-adventure stuff, I highly, highly recommend adding the White Rim Road to your bucket list. So the White Rim Road is a jeeping road. A lot of people like to bike this road as well, and it's a 100-mile road. What it does is you go to the Island in the Sky district of Canyonlands and you drop down on some pretty hairy switchbacks on the Schaefer Trail, which is so cool, by the way. And then you get down to a lower level of Island in the Sky, and it's called the White Rim. And this road traverses the White Rim. And so there are campgrounds along the way, like really small ones, backcountry ones, and things like that. And so people will make it a big deal. You can go for 3 to 4 days. You can camp along the way. A lot of people, like I said, like to bike this route. That's a really big thing to do here. However, if you're just looking for a really fun day trip, you can totally do this in a day, just a section of it. We're not doing the whole thing, and have a really, really cool experience. So rent a Jeep in Moab. Jeeping in Moab is huge. It's a whole thing in this area of Utah. But you can rent a Jeep in Moab. You can drive up to Canyonlands. As I said, you'll drive down the Schaefer Trail, you'll hit the White Rim Road. You do need a permit to be on the White Rim Road, so make sure you do that in advance. You'll drive a portion of the White Rim Road, and then you'll come out on the Potash Road, which will then take you back to Moab. So it's a really cool day trip, something that I know I will never forget doing. It is definitely a highlight of Canyonlands for me, and I'm really excited for you to try it too. If you head to dirtinmyshoes.com, you'll see a White Rim Road trail guide where I actually walk you through the whole day trip that we like to take when we're here. And you can see pictures, you can see what to expect. I'll link that trail guide in the video description below as well, or you can go to Dirt in My Shoes and look at Canyonlands so that you can see all the other cool things you can do in Canyonlands too. Okay, bucket list item number 3 takes us to my favorite bucket list thing to do during the summer. This is June, and it's going to Great Smoky Mountains National Park to see the Synchronous Fireflies. Looking at the map, Great Smoky Mountains National Park is right here on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. Half of the park is in each state. And there are so many cool things to do in this park. It's great for hiking and wildlife viewing and waterfalls, all the good stuff. But the absolute highlight or bucket list item for me in Great Smoky Mountains National Park is seeing the Synchronous Firefly display. I cannot even describe to you how cool this is to see in person. We just did this last year. I wish that I had pictures or video of it, but I just enjoyed it with my eyes while we were there. And basically what you do is there's a lottery system to be able to get a parking spot in a specific area of Great Smoky Mountains where you can then park, and just for like 10 days of the whole year, you can go back in here and you can see the Synchronous Fireflies. Synchronous fireflies are different than just the regular fireflies. So you might be saying, I've seen fireflies before. This is totally different. They blink on and off together. And it's almost like a wave going down the mountain where you can see they blink on together and off together as they work their way down the mountain. It's really hard to describe, but just trust me when I say this is one of my top 5 most special and amazing experiences I've ever had in the national parks. As I mentioned, there is a lottery system to get in here. It is a little bit tricky. It's very competitive, and so you will want to plan in advance for this. Make sure you're watching the dates and what they're doing with the lottery system. Another way to get around the lottery system is to camp in the Elkmont campground. So if you can get a camping reservation in that campground during the dates of the Synchronous Fireflies, you can just walk up to where the firefly display is from your campsite. That's an insider tip, by the way. A lot of people don't know you can do that, but that's actually the way that we got to see the fireflies, because I have terrible luck with lottery systems. I never get chosen, but I was able to get a reservation in the Elkmont campground. If you're looking for insider tips for national parks along those same lines, you'll love my national park trip itineraries at Dirt in My Shoes. We've got a bunch of parks here. You can choose the one you're going to, but it has a lot of insider information like that to help you have a really awesome vacation. I'll link those itineraries in the description below because trust me, it will transform your national park vacations. Okay, bucket list item number 4. We're going to Grand Teton National Park in August, and we are backpacking the Teton Crest Trail. Grand Teton National Park is in Wyoming, right here. It's really close to Yellowstone, so you can do both parks at the same trip, but I highly recommend giving yourself a bunch of time in Grand Teton if you love to hike. Grand Teton National Park has some of the best hiking in the country, like hands down. It is one of my absolute favorite places to hike. And the Teton Crest Trail is its crowning glory hike. It's just, you can't beat it. This trail is a 40-mile backpacking route, and it starts at the southern end of the Teton Range, and you work your way north. You hike past the beautiful peaks of the Grand Teton and the South Teton and the Middle Teton, all of that. You're on the backside of those peaks. You're seeing glaciers and lakes and lots of wildlife as you're camping in the midst of just these gorgeous mountain peaks. So the nice thing about the Teton Crest Trail, though, is that you can break it up. If you don't want to do all 40 miles in one trip, you can hike back into these canyons and you can hit some of the Teton Crest Trail as you get to the backside of the canyons and really have either a nice day hike or a shorter backpacking trip. I highly recommend doing the whole thing if you can, though. We do it in about 3 nights, 4 days is kind of the sweet spot for me, so that I can enjoy it and not push myself too hard, so we can stay in some really cool campsites like on the Death Valley Shelf or Holly Lake. There's just some really cool options for hiking this trail. But like I said, you can make it shorter if you want to. If you're looking for a beginner-friendly backpacking trip in Grand Teton, then going in Cascade Canyon up to Lake Solitude is a really good one. You can camp in the North Fork of Cascade Canyon and just do an in and out. You still get just spectacular Teton views from back here, and you will be on a portion of the Teton Crest Trail when you get through Cascade Canyon. Now, this trip is best taken in August because you don't want to hit snow. You'll hit a lot of snow if you go too early. So typically sometime around late July, early August is when you'll find me in the backcountry of Grand Teton. The other thing that you'll want to note, though, is that these backcountry permits, if you're planning on spending the night back there, they do typically open up in early January. So again, add this to your bucket list and do the prep necessary now so that you can have a really cool adventure this summer. Your last bucket list adventure for this year, number 5, this is a trip that I like to take in September, and it is to beautiful Rocky Mountain National Park. Rocky Mountain National Park is in Colorado, right up here. It's about an hour, hour and a half outside of Denver. And so it's pretty easy to get to. You just fly into Denver, drive for a minute, you're up to the east entrance of Rocky Mountain National Park in no time. If you're a lover of all things autumn, this is the park for you. It is such a magical experience. So I'll typically try to get to Rocky around the kind of the 20s-ish of September, because that is when you'll typically find the aspen trees are just gold as can be. It's absolutely stunning. You do get some other colors in there sometimes, but really you're there to see the golden aspens. The other really cool thing about Rocky Mountain National Park in the fall is the elk. There are elk everywhere in the low country at this time of year. The elk are bugling, and so you just have that haunting noise kind of permeating throughout your park experience. It's really cool to see and super magical. You likely will need an entrance reservation to enter Rocky Mountain National Park, and so make sure you look into that. I can help you with that with my Rocky Mountain itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes, but you will want to make sure that you get the reservation so that you can get into the park and see all the cool stuff. I recommend driving the Trail Ridge Road. You can hike as you go along there. There's a lot of really pretty viewpoints. Go to the Bear Lake area, especially around like Bierstadt Lake if you want really cool colors as you're hiking down the mountain from Bierstadt. That's one of my favorite views in the fall. You can also go down to Sprague Lake, which is a really cool place to try to see some elk. We have really good luck seeing elk down in that area. Overall, if you're just looking for a really beautiful place to go during the fall and you love seeing colors and you want to see some wildlife, Rocky is probably my top choice for that. All right, my friend, I have videos for all of these parks to help you plan your trips here on the Dirt in My Shoes YouTube channel. So please subscribe and poke around, see what you can find to help you plan your next trip. You can also go to dirtinmyshoes.com where I have tons of articles and resources for you for these parks, including hour-by-hour trip itineraries. So let's make it happen. Hit one of these at least this year. Try to add these to your bucket list and see what you can cross off in these beautiful national parks. Happy trails.